John Wall had a very interesting session with the media. I can only imagine it was just as interesting when he went to talk to the front office the same day. He said, quote, "We got to talk about which guys can stay and which guys can go." Also, he said, "Our problem is that a lot of times guys don't understand their role and respect their role." He did not mention Marcin Gortat by name, but it was hard not to read between the lines there. What do you, I mean, Paul, what do you think? First of all, you've been in that locker room. What do you think of John speaking his mind?
I love the fact that he came out. A leader should say that. I mean, obviously, John is a superstar. He's a superstar point guard. Guys need to know their role. Obviously, this is Bradley Beal and John's team. They're the all-stars. So I respect him coming out and say that. I'm sure he probably said it to a number of guys throughout the season. Like, when you see guys who want more than their role and it doesn't work out for the team, then, you know, as a leader, you should speak on it. And I respect John for that.
You know, we never talk about them the way we used to talk about the Clippers, right? Here's a team with 3 max guys who've never passed, you know, the second round of the playoffs. You cannot identify which one of those 3 is a problem because they all have really great skills, and yet it just somehow doesn't come out of the oven right every season. And we never have that, do you blow it up in Washington
You love, by the way, you love to compare that the Clippers seem to get talked about this that way and no other teams do.
No, I don't mean like from a persecution.
With the Raptors and with the other teams.
No, but I mean, look, whether to continue on a path or not is the great question a franchise has to make, and we just don't. We haven't had that conversation of, like, do you trade Beal or Porter?
Well, we've talked about that a little bit. I think if they hadn't won any of these playoff games, right, when they got kind of blown off the floor in the first 2 games, we were all like, I don't know. Then do you have to look at questions about the franchise? I think they earned, with the 2 wins they had in the playoffs, the idea that the core of that team can work. But it's the other guys on the team.
You know what? I think you do keep the all-stars together. You have to build, like, look at Toronto. They have their 2 all-stars. They kept them together and they continued to build around them and got deeper. That's what Washington has to do. They have to get more depth. They had Bogdanovich last year, was huge for them, that came off the bench. They didn't have that reliable guy off the bench this year. It's supposed to be Kelly Oubre, however you want to say. Oubre, that's right. That's my Kansas guy. I should know that. But they need to add more depth around these guys. Maybe mix in a few starters, trade a couple starters, but they definitely need to keep the core together because they could be on the right path. They're just a little bit of tweaking, that's all.
I want to clarify, I like continuity. I was glad the Toronto Raptors kept it together.
You feel like you defend the Clippers.
But, you know, he's right. I mean, Toronto is the model, right? Yeah. Like, first of all, it would be helpful if they drafted and developed some guys.
Yes.
You know, Oubre's been nice, but they need to do more of that as a la Toronto.
Well, John also said to the media that when he had his exit meeting with management, he was very specific about roster modernization, getting them more of those athletic wings and things like that, that teams that they're getting beaten by have. So we will see what happens there.